If you point a radio telescope at the center of our galaxy,
Right.
or, at the supermassive black hole in M87, you see this glowing ring.
The famous donut shape.
Exactly, the donut. And the textbooks, well, they'll tell you exactly what you were looking at, right? It's an accretion disk.
Yeah, just superheated gas.
Right. Gas spinning so fast and getting so incredibly hot that it, emits radiation before it inevitably falls past the event horizon.
And that's usually the end of the story.
The absolute end. The boundary itself is taught as a dead zone. Like the ultimate cosmic roach motel. Matter checks in, but it doesn't check out.
Yeah, that's the standard Newtonian shortcut we all learn.
But what if that standard explanation what if it's hiding a much more profound mechanical truth?
It's a huge question.
Right. What if, when we look at that glow, we aren't just seeing the doomed matter queuing up for the slaughter?
Well, what if we're actually seeing the ghost of the dying star's gravity fundamentally translated into light?
Which is just a wild concept.
It forces a complete paradigm shift, doesn't it?
Oh, totally.
I mean, we are very comfortable with the idea of a black hole as this localized gravitational collapse where causality essentially, goes to die.
Right. A mute grave.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if we actually look at the math, at the field equations connecting electromagnetism and space-time curvature.
The actual mechanics.
Right. That simplistic narrative just starts to fracture. The black hole is not a silent, invisible trap. It is a highly active, highly communicative engine.
And for anyone who loves peeling back the layers of reality, for you listening to this right now, realizing that you have to unlearn a fundamental assumption that is the ultimate thrill.
It's why we do this.
It really is. And that is exactly what we are doing today on this deep dive. We have our hands on excerpts from an incredibly provocative, really dense, and frankly mind-bending text.
Very dense.
Yeah, it's called The Gertsenshtein Gate, How Light Escapes the Black Hole.
Such a bold title.
Bold and aggressive. And our mission for this deep dive is to completely reframe your understanding of gravity, of light, and of the ultimate cosmic boundary itself.
We really need to dismantle those old assumptions.
Okay, let's unpack this. Where do we even begin when the source text claims that light actually does escape a black hole?
Well, we begin by addressing a massive semantic and physical blind spot in how we teach physics.
Okay.
The old saying that nothing escapes, not even light, it relies on a flawed, incredibly narrow definition of what light actually is.
Narrow in what way?
Well, and it also relies on a total misunderstanding of what it means for information to escape a causal system.
Right, what escape actually means.
Yeah. My core belief has always been that knowledge is most valuable when we stress test our foundational assumptions,
Absolutely.
against the raw mechanics of the universe. In this case, if we don't redefine the nature of the boundary,
The event horizon.
right, and more importantly, the definition of light itself, we remain trapped in this kind of elementary school model of the cosmos.
So to understand how light escapes, we first have to completely tear down our highly biased definition of light.
We do.
And the text goes right for the throat on this. It says humanity mistakenly reduces light to the photon.
The prison house of the photon, as they call it.
Right. Now, obviously, for anyone following astrophysics, we know light isn't just the visible colors we see with our eyes, ROIGBV and all that.
Sure, the visible robe, the text calls it.
We all know the electromagnetic spectrum extends out to radio waves, infrared, ultraviolet, X-rays, and gamma rays.
We've known that for a long time.
Yeah, but the text pushes past even that. It insists that the photon is not the prison house of light.
With a capital L.
Capital L, exactly. It says even expanding our definition to include gamma rays and radio waves isn't going far enough.
What's fascinating here is how the text attacks our attachment to the electromagnetic carrier.
Right, because we just assume light equals electromagnetism.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, we know a radio wave is the same phenomenon as visible light, just at a, lower frequency.
It's all photons.
Right, they're both mediated by the photon. They're both electromagnetic. But the author makes this brilliant, rigorous point.
Which is?
Why do we restrict the overarching concept of light, capital L, to just the electromagnetic force?
Because that's all we can see.
Well, yeah. But if the universe already proves to us that the phenomenon of light extends far beyond human biology, like with radio waves,
Right.
why do we assume it stops at the boundary of electromagnetism?
So true. And the text redefines true light as something much broader. much more, I don't know, foundational to the architecture of the
He
universe.
uses very specific language.
Yeah, it defines it as radiance, field motion, energy-bearing propagation, signal, information, and translation through the causal order.
That is a massive expansion of the term.
It really is. It's like we've been looking at the ocean and saying water only exists when it's an ice cube.
I like that analogy.
Yeah, completely ignoring liquid water and steam.
Yeah.
And that's us discovering the rest of the electromagnetic spectrum, right?
Finding the steam in the liquid.
Yeah.
Yes.
But this text is doing something totally different. It's coming along and saying, you are still only looking at H2O. You need to look at the concept of fluid dynamics itself.
You need to look at the current, the wave, the motion. Exactly.
We've been pointing at this one specific particle, the photon, and saying, that is light, everything else is something different.
Which is a childish, separate box.
Right. But wait, let me push back on this for a second.
Go for it.
Even if we expand the definition all the way out to, like, energy-bearing propagation or signal, how does playing semantic games with the word light actually change the physical game for black holes?
Well, let's be precise here, because it is definitively not a semantic game.
Okay, fair.
It is a fundamental realignment of physics. By redefining light as a carrier of information and cause, the source brings gravitational waves into the exact same family.
Gravitational waves, wow.
Yeah. We have historically put gravity over here in one box,
Yeah.
described by Einstein's general relativity.
Space-time curvature.
Right. And light over there in another box, described by quantum mechanics and Maxwell's equations.
Those childish separate boxes again.
Exactly. But think about what a gravitational wave actually does.
Well, I mean, it ripples space-time.
Yes, but more fundamentally, it carries radiative energy across the universe.
Right, from merging black holes and stuff.
And it propagates at the exact speed of light.
Oh, right.
It carries information about the massive bodies that generated it. Their mass, their spin, their orbital dynamics. It is a signal.
So it's translating cause into effect across a distance.
Precisely. If you free the word light from the prison of the photon and define it by its function energy-bearing propagation,
Then gravitational wave light is not just a metaphor.
no, it is physically performing the exact same causal duty as an electromagnetic wave.
Okay, this is a massive paradigm shift.
It really is.
Because if gravitational waves are physically acting as a form of light, capital L light, then we have to look at the boundary where those waves originate.
The edge of the abyss.
Exactly, because black holes are the ultimate engines of gravitational waves, which brings us right to the event horizon.
And this is where things get really controversial.
Yeah. The text argues that the horizon is not a material wall, it's not a mute grave, and it's not a steel shell.
It defines the horizon as a causal threshold inside a larger causal system.
A causal threshold. We need to really interrogate that word. Causal.
In physics, causality is the absolute bedrock. It is the rule that a cause must precede an effect.
Right. You can't have the glass shatter before you drop it.
Exactly. And that information travels from point A to point B at a finite speed.
The speed of light.
Right. The traditional, slightly lazy way of teaching black holes treats the event horizon as a localized region where causality is completely severed from the rest of the universe.
A totally mute grave.
Yeah.
Right, because the gravitational pull is so immense that the escape velocity exceeds the speed of light.
That's the standard textbook line.
And since nothing can go faster than light, nothing comes out.
Exactly. And the text does not dispute the basic math of relativity.
It doesn't.
No, it concedes a very narrow, specific point. Ordinary photon light that has crossed the event horizon.
A process the author terms after crossing, right?
Yes, after crossing. That light does not return outward. Once a photon passes that mathematically defined threshold, all of its future light cones point inward toward the singularity.
So it really is trapped.
It cannot fight its way back against the infinite curvature of space-time.
So what does this all mean? Because if the photon can't get out, hasn't the black hole still trapped the light?
This is where we have to be careful with our phrasing.
Yeah, the text is very specific here. It says, not as a flashlight crawling out after crossing.
Right.
It is explicitly telling us not to picture a trapped photon swimming upstream and popping back into the universe.
Because that would violate the laws of general relativity. But here's the critical leap.
Okay, hit me.
The inability of that specific local photon to return does not erase the macro-causal connection between the black hole system and the outside observer.
Wait, really?
Yes, the black hole is not severed from the universe. In fact, it is highly legible. The text uses that exact word, legible.
Legible, like a book, you can read it.
Exactly.
But how do you read a perfectly dark object.
You read it through accretion, through the complex thermodynamics of the matter surrounding it.
Okay.
You read it through lensing, the way its gravity drastically bends the light of galaxies behind it. You read it through its extreme redshift, its plasma jets, its magnetic structure.
And its orbital behavior with binary companion.
Right. The black hole system is constantly acting. And gravity, is specifically gravitational waves, and the gravitational field itself carries information outward from this violent acting.
And that outward flow of information equals pause.
Yes.
So a black hole is broadcasting its entire interior state, its mass, its angular momentum, its electric charge to the exterior universe.
Constantly.
And it does all this without ever needing to spit that specific swallowed photon back out.
It doesn't need the photon.
If the system is still communicating its mass and spin, it isn't a mute grave at all.
Exactly. The horizon is simply the localized coordinate where ordinary photon return is no longer a lawful outward path.
Right.
But the field surrounding that threshold is incredibly alive. It is constantly translating mass energy into a signal that the rest of the universe can observe.
It is a threshold within a much larger, highly communicative system.
You're starting to see the architecture now.
Okay, so we've established that the boundary field is alive, and it is communicating via gravity.
Via gravitational wave light.
Right. But here is the massive roadblock.
I know where you're going with this.
How does gravity talk to the electromagnetic spectrum that our telescopes can actually see?
The translation problem?
Yeah. When we look out into space, our instruments, from radio dishes to optical lenses, they're picking up electromagnetic signals. They're picking up photons.
That is the language our machines speak.
Right. If the black hole is screaming in gravity, how does that translate into a language our telescopes can hear?
The source provides the exact mechanism for this, the namesake of the entire text.
The Gertsenshtein gate.
This is the absolute core of the text's argument, and it is where we leave basic relativity behind and enter advanced magnetogravitational physics.
Sounds intense.
It is. The Gertsenshtein effect is the translation gate. It is the mathematical and physical proof that electromagnetic radiation and gravitational radiation are not sealed-off kingdoms.
Which is how they've been taught for decades.
For decades, yeah. Physics has treated them like two different species that can't interbreed. But Mikhail Gertsenshtein, a Soviet physicist in 1962, he provided the dictionary.
And the text outlines the mechanism perfectly. It says, under a magnetic field background, electromagnetic waves can convert into gravitational waves.
And vice versa.
Right, and gravitational waves can convert into electromagnetic radiation.
It is a profound, mathematically rigorous realization based on the Einstein-Maxwell equations.
Which tell us what?
Well, we know mass and energy are equivalent. We know electromagnetic fields carry stress energy, and that stress energy gravitates.
Right, E equals mc squared and all that.
Gertsenshtein showed that if you have a strong, static, transverse magnetic field, a gravitational wave passing through it will actually induce an electromagnetic wave of the exact same frequency.
And the reverse is true, too.
Exactly. The magnetic field acts as a catalyst. It acts as the ultimate converter. Gravitational wave light has, under the right conditions, an electromagnetic translation.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because the way I'm picturing this Gertsenshtein gate is like a universal currency exchange at a border crossing.
A currency exchange, okay? Let's hear it.
Imagine you are traveling, and you arrive at the border of a new country with a suitcase full of gravity dollars.
Gravity dollars, I love it.
That is your gravitational wave light carrying all the energy, the mass data, and the information from the black hole.
Right.
But the universe outside, the country you are trying to enter, only accepts electromagnetic euros.
Nice.
If there's no exchange booth, your money is useless. You can't interact with the local economy. Our radio telescopes can't see your gravity dollars.
That analogy gets us halfway there, but let's refine it a bit.
Oh, okay. Where does it break down?
Well, we can't fall into the trap of thinking it's a simple swap. The currency exchange analogy implies a transaction between two separate entities.
Like handing cash to a teller.
Right. But in the Gertsenshtein mechanism, the border wall itself, the highly curved spacetime, and the extreme magnetic field is actively forcing the translation.
Oh, wow.
It's not a booth you walk up to. It's a resonant conversion dictated by the geometry of the universe. The gravitational wave perturbs the magnetic field, and that perturbation literally generates a photon.
So the magnetic field surrounding the black hole is the physical mechanism of translation.
Yes.
You haven't lost the value to us. The energy and the information about the black hole state are completely preserved. It has just oscillated into a new currency.
A photon.
Right, a photon that the outside universe and our telescopes can interact with.
Precisely. And this highlights the source's sharpest point. The Gertsenshtein mechanism doesn't just wave its hands philosophically and say, hey, gravity and photons are both radiative, so they're kind of the same.
Right, it's not just poetry.
Exactly. It provides the specific, mathematical, physical bridge where they convert into one another. The efficiency of this conversion depends on the strength of the magnetic field and the distance over which they interact.
And by applying this, the text destroys that false binary we've created.
The idea that a black hole must either be pure, invisible nothingness, or it has to be an ordinary lamp shining a flashlight out from the inside.
It's a localized translation environment.
That's the perfect way to put it.
But that begs the question, where do these massive magnetic fields come from?
Ah, rock.
Because for this Gertsenshtein gate to actually matter, for the conversion efficiency to be high enough to produce a visible glow, you need unimaginably strong magnetic fields.
You really do.
To understand why this translation gate is so incredibly active around a black hole, we have to look at the violent process of how a black hole forms in the first place.
Yes, we have to look at the stellar progenitor.
The dying star.
Exactly. The text refers to this as the conversion furnace of stellar collapse.
Such an evocative phrase.
It is. And it makes a crucial distinction right away. It says collapse is jurisdiction, not addition.
Jurisdiction. It means the rules of the game have changed, but the players on the board are the exact same.
Exactly.
When a massive star, say 20 times the mass of our sun, when it exhausts its nuclear fuel, the outward radiation pressure drops.
And gravity takes over.
Right. It can no longer support its own weight. It collapses inward. But it isn't pulling in a bunch of new mass from the outside to magically become a black hole.
No, it's using what it has.
It is taking the exact same mass, the exact same angular momentum, and the exact same magnetic flux it already had, and driving it into a microscopic, unimaginably tight radius.
The same mass energy is driven into a smaller radius, causing pressure failure and curvature dominance. That's how the text phrases it.
Curvature dominance.
Right. And this is where the magnetic fields we need for the Gertsenshtein translation are born. It's a process called magnetic flux conservation.
How does that work?
Well, as the star collapses, its surface area shrinks dramatically, right?
Yeah, getting super small.
But the total magnetic field lines must be conserved. So they get squeezed closer and closer together, amplifying the magnetic field strength to staggering levels.
Oh, wow.
We see this in neutron stars, magnetars, specifically where the fields are trillions of times stronger than Earth's. In a black hole collapse, that amplification is pushed to the extreme limit.
Trillions of times stronger. That's just hard to wrap your head around.
It is.
But the author stresses that this collapse is overlap. Interaction and collision are not optional here.
There is no clean death for a star.
Right. I think about this and I realize how sterilized our textbook diagrams are.
Oh, completely.
When I picture a star dying and becoming a black hole, I picture it just shrinking cleanly and symmetrically until it just winks out of existence.
A silent death.
Yeah. But the text aggressively counters this. It says, collapse is not silence. It creates a conversion furnace.
It's chaos.
Absolute chaos. It lists all these things happening at once. Rotation crosses emission, infall crosses plasma, magnetic fields cross waves, and curvature crosses everything.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the star's story doesn't simply end at the event horizon. Its causal narrative is entirely translated.
Translated by the furnace.
Right. Think about the sheer violence of a core collapse supernova. The core is collapsing at a significant fraction of the speed of light. The outer layers are rebounding against the incredibly dense core.
An unfathomable explosion.
And the star is spinning faster and faster as it shrinks, dragging the very fabric of space-time with it in a process called frame dragging.
And you have those monstrously amplified magnetic fields.
Yes, magnetic fields that are being folded, twisted, and compressed by the infalling plasma.
The text says, emission crosses infall. Photon paths cross photon paths. It sounds like the ultimate traffic jam of physics.
That's a great way to visualize it.
How much of the star's original story actually survives this furnace? Like, does any of its original identity remain?
From a causal perspective,
Yeah.
all of it.
Really?
All
Like
of
you feel
it,
it.
the information isn't lost, it is translated. And because of that extreme rotation, the incredibly dense, chaotic plasma, and the violent overlapping of space-time curvature and magnetic fields.
The perfect storm.
Exactly. This is exactly the kind of environment where the Gertsenshtein conditions absolutely thrive. You have massive asymmetric gravitational waves being generated by the violent, turbulent collapse itself.
The gravity dollars.
Right. And these gravitational waves are blasting outward through incomprehensibly strong, twisting magnetic fields.
The exchange booths. The translation gate is thrown wide open.
Yes. The former stellar body is being actively processed.
Yeah.
It's being translated into gravitational wave light, heat, spin, lensing, and horizon growth.
So the black hole isn't a mute grave where the star goes to die at all?
No, it is an active converter processing the star's macroscopic properties into a different radiative form.
That is just. It's mind-blowing. And this intense conversion furnace creates a specific observable phenomenon right at the edge of the black hole.
Which brings us back to what we can actually see.
Yes. This leads to the physical witness that our modern telescopes actually capture. The text has a beautiful yet rigorously grounded section on this called "The Glow is Real."
I love that section.
It breaks down the exact translations happening at the boundary.
And this is where theory finally meets observation.
Yeah.
For decades, black holes were just mathematical curiosities on chalkboards.
Just numbers.
Right. Now we literally have photographs of them, thanks to the Event Horizon Telescope.
The EHT, yeah.
The text gives us a comprehensive list of how the boundary field translates mass energy into something we can observe. The accretion plasma, superheated by friction and magnetic tension, glows.
Okay.
The immense magnetic field structure that glow into distinct polar jets and accretion disks. The extreme gravity acts as a lens.
Bending the photon paths from distant background stars.
Yes, bending them into a photon ring around the hole. And the energy translates into extreme Doppler beaming and redshift.
And the text is militant about one thing. This glow is not fake.
No, it is not an optical illusion.
And most importantly, it is not after crossing photons leaking outward from inside the event horizon.
We have to keep stressing that. Nothing is swimming upstream.
Right. It is the boundary field itself, the space-time just outside the horizon, translating the black hole's mass energy into observable witness.
Observable witness.
There is a line here that I think encapsulates the entire paper perfectly. Let me just read it.
Go ahead.
A black hole is not seen because darkness speaks. A black hole is seen because light testifies at the boundary.
Light testifies at the boundary. It is a profound summation.
It's poetry, but it's physics.
Exactly. The observer, us here on Earth, using interferometry, arrays the size of the entire planet we receive the black hole through this field translation.
We aren't looking at a localized region of nothing.
No, we are looking at a highly dynamic system. The boundary system itself gives witness to the extreme space-time curvature inside.
The no-return threshold is translated by the highly magnetized plasma fields surrounding it.
Right.
I really want you, the listener, to let that sink in. Think about the last time you saw that famous image of the M87 supermassive black hole on the news.
The orange blur.
Yeah, that glowing, fiery, asymmetric ring of orange and red with the dark shadow in the center. When you look at that, you aren't seeing a trick of the light.
You aren't just seeing generic space gas getting hot.
Exactly. You are reading the black hole's mass energy ledger. You are seeing the Gertsenshtein gate in action.
It's empirical evidence.
Gravitational wave light. The causal information of the black hole's mass and spin escapes the event system, and through the magnetic field translation at the boundary, we get an electromagnetic answer.
We get the glow.
We get the glow. This is what the glow truly means.
And the author warns us, quite sternly, not to look at that glow and fall back into our old habits.
What do they say?
They write, stop acting like the black hole must either be pure invisible nothing or an ordinary lamp. That is a false binary.
We have to get rid of the false binary.
We do. The glow is the empirical evidence of causal conversion. It is the universe providing a receipt for the energetic translation that is constantly occurring just outside the causal threshold.
We now have this incredibly profound new understanding of black holes. But the source explicitly warns us not to treat this as just some, theoretical musing or poetic philosophy.
Right, this is grounded in hard science.
Exactly. Which brings us to the final challenge of the text, updating the homework.
A very necessary challenge.
Because this isn't just about interpreting 1962 equations, right? It is about cutting-edge, modern astrophysics.
The text practically issues a mandate to the reader. It says to update the homework and not remain stuck in old Newtonian shortcuts.
Why do we get so stuck on those shortcuts?
Well, science has a terrible habit of getting comfortable with simplified models because they are easier to digest in an undergraduate classroom.
That makes sense. It's easier to teach.
It is. For decades, as the text notes, gravity and light were taught as dead separate kingdoms.
The childish boxes.
Right. But we cannot remain stuck at the 1962 starting point, which was just the theoretical groundwork of the Gertsenshtein effect. We have new tools now.
Like what?
We have LIGO detecting gravitational waves from merging black holes.
The literal ripples in space-time.
Yes. We have the EHT mapping the magnetic field lines around Sagittarius A star at the center of our galaxy.
So we have the data to back this up now.
We do. The text points aggressively to the future, explicitly listing areas of modern study from 2023 and looking ahead to 2025.
It demands we look at photon-graviton mixing, which sounds like sci-fi.
It sounds like it, yeah, but it's not. It also points to gravitational wave to electromagnetic conversion, electromagnetic to gravitational conversion, Kerr space-time corrections to the Gertsenshtein effect, and scattering.
That's a lot of very advanced physics.
It raises an important question about how we fundamentally understand the quantum architecture of our universe. Modern 2025 physics demands that we look at things like photon-graviton mixing in curved spacetime.
Okay, unpack that for me. What is photon-graviton mixing?
That concept alone destroys the rigid boxes we built. A photon, the quantum particle of electromagnetism, and a graviton, the theoretical quantum particle of gravity.
Right.
They can actually mix and oscillate between each other under the right geometric conditions.
Yeah.
Much like how neutrinos oscillate between different flavors as they travel from the sun.
Wait. So it's not just a wave-level phenomenon.
No.
It's happening at the quantum particle level, too.
Exactly. The universe itself testifies that these forces translate into one another. The 1962 Gertsenshtein paper, it assumed a flat spacetime background for the conversion.
Which is obviously not the case near a black hole.
Right, near a black hole, spacetime is violently curved. The modern 2023 and 2025 research the text cites is actively calculating how that extreme curvature modifies and potentially amplifies this photon-graviton scattering.
Modifies the gate.
Yes. If we continue to teach astrophysics using the old Newtonian shortcuts, if we keep repeating the tired, unquestioned mantra that nothing escapes a black hole without adding the crucial mathematically proven nuance of causal conversion
Field translation.
and the Gertsenshtein gate,
Why?
if we don't add those, we are blinding ourselves to the actual mechanics of the cosmos.
We are willfully ignoring the interconnectedness of reality.
We really are.
And honestly, I think that is incredibly empowering for you, the listener. You don't have to accept the simplified, outdated, dead-end textbook versions of the cosmos.
You shouldn't accept them.
Right. The universe isn't a collection of isolated, dead objects trapped in their own little localized jurisdictions. Science, real, mathematically rigorous, modern science, is actively proving that the universe is far more communicative than we ever dared to imagine.
The universe is a ledger of causality. Mass, energy, gravity, electromagnetism, they're all physical manifestations of information constantly being exchanged, translated, and conserved.
The ultimate ledger.
The black hole is just the most extreme, dramatic translation environment we have ever discovered. It is the place where the universe is forced to show its math under maximum pressure.
Wow.
And the math says that nothing is truly lost from the causal web. The information, the original cause of the stellar collapse, survives. It just changes its communicative form.
Wow. Okay. Let's do a quick recap because we have covered a massive amount of incredibly dense conceptual ground today.
We covered a lot, yeah.
We started by breaking the concept of light out of its electromagnetic prison house.
The photon prison.
Right. We learned that true light, with a capital L, is energy-bearing propagation. It is signal. It is the mechanism of cause. And under that rigorous definition, gravitational waves are functionally a form of light.
A huge realization.
Yeah. We then reframed the black hole itself. It is not a silent, invisible trap where causality dies. It is a highly active, legible conversion furnace.
And the physical mechanism that bridges the gap, the mathematical dictionary between these forces, is the Gertsenshtein gate.
The border exchange.
Right, where gravitational wave light fundamentally translates into electromagnetic witness within a strong magnetic field. The black hole is fundamentally known by what it does to light and how the electromagnetic field answers around it.
It all comes back to the text's central thesis. A black hole is not seen because darkness escapes. A black hole is seen because light escapes, translates, and testifies at the edge of no return.
It completely rewrites the narrative of the night sky.
It absolutely does. And I want to leave you with the final provocative thought to mull over on your own.
Oh, let's hear it.
We've just spent an hour unpacking how the extreme, violent environment of a black hole acts as a translation gate. allowing gravity to literally speak to electromagnetism.
allowing these two seemingly separate fundamental kingdoms to oscillate into one another.
Exactly. So, if gravity and electromagnetism can interbreed under the right conditions, what other fundamental forces of nature might be secretly translating into one another right in front of us?
That's a great question.
Right. Could the strong nuclear force or the weak nuclear force have their own translation gates under the extreme pressures of a neutron star?
It's entirely possible.
Could dark matter just be the untranslated side of a gate we haven't discovered yet?
That is the beauty of theoretical physics. The Gertsenshtein gate might just be the first of many bridges we find connecting the standard model to general relativity.
Because the universe doesn't have dead ends, it doesn't have stop signs, it only has translation gates waiting to be deciphered. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep looking up, keep questioning the elementary boxes we try to force the universe into, and we'll catch you next time.